Hello, and welcome back to the #1 survival guide of the Cylinder. And today, we shall venture into the eastern wilderness to find the common oak forests and rolling hills of the east. As you peer over a small hill, you see the forest ahead of you, your destination. But before you could continue walking, you were interrupted by something moving in the grass. It was a shield-head rat. Shield-head rats are rodents very closely related to beavers, their much more popular counterpart. These rodents get their name from their many osteoderm-shaped keratin scales on their head, which they use to protect themselves from various predators in their environment. These rodents have very long claws on their front limbs used for digging and are also known to be subterranean and only ever come out in the day for sunflower seeds and insects. You continue past the creature, and before you know it, you make it into the forest. But as you stop and take in your surroundings, you begin to hear something walking in the distance. It was a long-legged jackalope. Despite this creature looking like it'd be related to a deer or a ground sloth, it is actually a lagomorph, and to be precise, is the largest jackalope in the world. It is also a browser, meaning that it eats tree leaves and fruit and uses its prehensile tongue to grab those. And in order to grab much higher foliage, it can use its 2 legs to stand up on, and then use its 2 hooked claws to grab small branches and fruit off the tops of trees. And full-grown adults are even known to fight over resources, using their antlers, similar to deer, in a similar fashion. That sound you just heard was a long-tailed cat. Long-tailed cats are primarily arboreal, and use their long tail as a prehensile tail in the trees. This feline's diet mainly consists of mice, birds, and arachnids. They also have wide, flat toe pads, allowing them to soften the sounds of their footfall in the trees and on the ground. After a while of walking, you came across a large foggy pond in the middle of 2 hills. But before you could continue walking through the marsh, you noticed movement in the trees. It was a blue star spider. Star spiders are notoriously nocturnal, making it very strange to see one this late in the day. Star spiders are also arboreal, and mainly eat squirrels and birds, and even fireflies. They also have blue spots all over their body that glow in the dark, allowing them to camouflage within swarms of fireflies. Hence the name star spider. And their main predators are the long-tailed cats. You suddenly shifted your gaze back to the pond and saw a rising elder buffo. Elder buffos are similar in size and attitude to something of hippos. Elder buffos can also live in herds of up to 60 individuals. These amphibians typically eat floating water plants and swamp muck. They also create the largest tadpole out of any amphibian, and the most eggs during spawning season. And, as extra protection from predators, these amphibians have a 8-inch deep hide as skin. And of course, with an animal this large, it's got to have very irritating parasites, so it has a symbiotic relationship with birds that pick them out of its skin. Out of nowhere, a massive dragon swooped down and began fighting the elder buffo. It was a king dragon, specifically a king of the forest. From its horns to its club-like arms, every part of this dragon's body is built to bludgeon things. In fact, the king of the forest has the strongest arm muscles out of any dragon known. However, even though the king of the forest is the apex predator of these lands, it is actually an omnivore, as these dragons will use their backwards-facing claws to slice open trees and drink the sap. However, that is not the only thing they'll use those claws for. They have been known to use them when fighting other members of their species for resources or mates. As for a way to slay such a beast, it mostly depends on whether you encounter one on the ground or the air. If you encounter one on the ground, there's not much you can do except retreat. However, if you encounter one in the air, you might actually have a fighting chance, as all dragons have their weakest point on their wings. So, if you fire enough arrows into its wing membrane, you might just be able to take it down. But otherwise, there's no hope. And unfortunately, you encountered one on the ground, ending you there, and this chapter of the survival guide.